Part 1. Introduction. Welcome, friends, to this exploration of timeless wisdom drawn from the ancient Stoics. As a scholar steeped in the philosophies of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, I've spent years poring over their writings, not just as historical artifacts, but as living guides for navigating the chaos of human existence. Today, I want to draw you into a mystery that's as old as humanity itself. Why do so many of us, in the midst of apparent success and stability, feel a profound emptiness echoing through our days? Picture this. A man or woman in the prime of life, perhaps in their mid-30s, 40s, or even 60s, rising each morning to a routine that's comfortable yet suffocating. The job pays the bills, the home is secure, relationships tick along on the surface, but beneath it all, there's a hollow ache, a sense that life is slipping by like sand through clenched fists. It's not depression in the clinical sense, nor is it outright despair. It's something subtler, a quiet disconnection from one's own vitality. I've seen this in countless stories from history and in the lives of people I've counseled, and it mirrors what the Stoics themselves grappled with centuries ago. Let me paint a deeper scene to hook you in. Imagine standing on the windswept plains of ancient Rome, where emperors and slaves alike faced the same internal storms we do today. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire stretching from Britain to the Euphrates, would retreat to his tent amid brutal campaigns, scribbling in his journal, now known as Meditations, about the fleeting nature of life and the need to reclaim inner sovereignty. He wasn't writing for posterity. He was wrestling with his own soul, questioning how a man with ultimate power could still feel adrift. Similarly, Seneca, a statesman and playwright whose wealth rivaled kings, confessed in his letters to bouts of anxiety and the relentless pull of time's erosion. And Epictetus, born into slavery with a lame leg from his master's cruelty, taught from a simple stool in Greece that true freedom lies not in external chains but in the mind's unchained will. These three figures, from vastly different stations, converged on a profound truth. Life's deepest struggles aren't imposed from without but arise from within mind, body, and heart misaligned. This mystery unfolds in our modern era too, amplified by the ceaseless hum of technology and societal pressures. We scroll through feeds that promise connection but deliver isolation, chase promotions that offer security but erode purpose, and build lives that look enviable yet feel vacant. As a Stoic-inspired scholar, I see this not as a curse of the times but as an opportunity for rebirth. The Stoics didn't preach escapism. They offered brutal, practical rules to rebuild from the ground up. Drawing from their essence, we'll explore three such principles, not as rote quotes, but woven into a narrative of transformation. But here's the question that pulls us deeper. What if the stranger in your mirror isn't a lost cause, but a dormant warrior waiting for the call to awaken? What if reclaiming your mind, fortifying your body, and reopening your heart could turn existence into true living? In this video, I'll recount these ideas as if sharing them around a campfire under the vast American sky, neutral, grounded, and drawing from the Stoic tradition's emphasis on virtue, resilience, and harmony with nature. We'll avoid extremes, focusing instead on balanced analysis and historical context. For instance, Stoicism emerged in the Hellenistic period around 300 BCE, founded by Zeno of Citium after a shipwreck that stripped him of worldly goods, teaching him that virtue alone suffices for happiness. It spread through Rome, influencing leaders like Aurelius during the Pax Romana, a time of relative peace but internal turmoil from plagues and wars. This philosophy isn't about suppressing emotions but directing them wisely, much like a river channeled to irrigate fields rather than flood them. As we delve in, remember, this isn't mere theory. It's a story of human potential, illustrated with examples from history and everyday life. In the parts ahead, we'll dissect the issues plaguing our inner worlds, draw solutions straight from Stoic texts, outline practical ways to embody them, and conclude with reflections to inspire your own path. If you're feeling that inner whisper of discontent, lean in. This could be the spark that reignites your flame. Let's begin the journey together, one thoughtful step at a time. Part 2, Issues. As we venture deeper into this narrative of self-reclamation, let's turn our gaze to the core issues that plague so many souls in our time, and indeed have echoed through the ages. Drawing from my years of studying Stoic texts amid the quiet libraries of American universities and the vast, open landscapes of the Midwest, where the horizon stretches like an invitation to introspection, I see these problems not as isolated afflictions but as interconnected threads in the fabric of human experience. The Stoics, those resilient thinkers from ancient Greece and Rome, didn't shy away from diagnosing the ailments of the mind, body, and heart. Instead, they dissected them with the precision of a philosopher's quill, offering insights that feel strikingly relevant today. In this part, I'll recount the issues as a storyteller might, weaving in historical anecdotes, personal reflections, and analytical depth to illuminate why we often find ourselves adrift. Think of it as peering into a mirror held up by history, revealing the cracks in our modern armor. First, let's confront the turmoil of the mind, a battlefield where clarity often surrenders to chaos. In the original reflections that inspired this discussion, there's a vivid portrayal of minds hijacked by external noise. The relentless scroll of social media, the barrage of news alerts, and the insidious creep of comparison. But let's expand this. Historically, Marcus Aurelius faced similar invasions during his reign from 161 to 180 CE, when the Roman Empire was battered by the Marcomannic Wars and the Antonine Plague, which claimed millions of lives, including perhaps his own family members. Amidst this, he wrote in Meditations about the mind's power over external events, yet he admitted to his own struggles with distraction and doubt. Imagine the emperor, encamped on the Danube frontier, his tent lit by flickering oil lamps, jotting notes to remind himself, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Yet, even he wrestled with the inner voice, falling silent under pressure. In our era, this manifests as mental clutter, endless notifications pinging like arrows in a skirmish, eroding our focus. From my perspective as a scholar, this isn't just a product of technology. It's a timeless human vulnerability. Stoicism teaches that the mind is our citadel, but when we cede control, it becomes a prison of our own making. Consider the story of a young academic I once mentored in Chicago, buried under emails and deadlines, who confided that his thoughts raced like unchecked prairie winds, leaving him exhausted before the day began. This mental invasion leads to a deeper issue: self-imposed limitations, those invisible walls labeled, "I can't," or "it's too late." Epictetus, who endured slavery under Emperor Domitian's court, knew this intimately. Lamed by his master's cruelty, he could have succumbed to bitterness, but instead, he analyzed how our judgments create suffering. In his Enchiridion, he argues that it's not events but our opinions of them that torment us. Today, this translates to the anxiety epidemic, where, according to neutral analyses from public health reports, over 40 million Americans grapple with mental health disorders amplified by societal pressures. My opinion? We're not weaker than our ancestors. We've simply amplified the distractions. The Stoics would nod in agreement, pointing out that without detoxing these influences, clarity remains elusive. Shifting our lens to the body, the vessel that carries our essence through life's tempests, we encounter issues of neglect and imbalance that mirror ancient woes. The foundational text here highlights how a weak body undermines the mind and spirit, with examples like poor nutrition turning sustenance into sabotage, or skimping on sleep stealing from tomorrow's vigor. But let's delve historically. Seneca, advisor to Nero and one of Rome's richest men in the 1st century CE, lived in opulence yet practiced austerity to combat bodily indulgence. In his letters to Lucilius, he warns against the excesses of Roman banquets, lavish feasts with exotic foods that led to gluttony and illness, much like our fast food culture today. He experienced exile to Corsica in 41 CE, where harsh conditions forced him to confront his physical limits, teaching him that the body thrives on discipline, not indulgence. Picture Seneca in his villa, declining rich wines to sip water, reminding himself that the body should be treated more rigorously, so that it may not be disobedient to the mind. In contemporary terms, this bodily breakdown shows in sedentary lifestyles. Neutral data from health organizations indicate that over 80% of U.S. adults don't meet exercise guidelines, leading to obesity rates hovering around 40%. I've witnessed this in communities across the heartland, where long work hours chain people to desks, fostering stagnation that breeds emotional fog. Movement, or the lack thereof, becomes a silent thief, emotions bottled up in immobile frames, as Epictetus, despite his physical disability, emphasized daily action to maintain vitality. He taught in Nicopolis after gaining freedom, urging students to view the body as a tool for virtue, not a burden. Voluntary discomfort, a Stoic staple, counters this. Without it, we grow soft, breaking promises to ourselves with every skipped workout or indulgent meal. From a scholarly angle, this isn't about vanity but resilience, much like Native American traditions of vision quests, where enduring physical trials builds inner strength. The issue deepens when we ignore sleep's restorative power. Seneca lamented wasted time, equating late nights to squandered life. In my reflections, chronic fatigue isn't laziness. It's a symptom of disconnection from natural rhythms, like ignoring the cycles of seasons that Stoics revered as part of cosmic order. Now, turning to the heart, the flame of our being, the issues here strike at our core connections and purpose. The narrative describes a numbness where walls built for protection block joy, leading to emptiness despite outward success. Historically, this resonates with Aurelius's introspections during the Germanic campaigns, where power isolated him, fostering a hollow heart. In Meditations, he writes of standing firm like a rock against waves, yet privately, he grieved lost loved ones and questioned human bonds. Epictetus, stripped of family and slavery, analyzed how attachments can wound if not managed wisely. His teachings in the Discourses stress that true heartache stems from clinging to externals, people, status, past regrets. In modern life, this manifests as relational autopilot, sharing space without intimacy, carrying grudges like heavy packs on a long trail. From personal observation, I've seen friends in bustling cities like New York mirror this, successful careers, yet hearts weighed by unforgiven slights or unfulfilled purposes. Stoicism's concept of sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things, highlights the problem. A heart without direction wanders, harming the hive, as Aurelius put it. Neutral psychological analyses suggest loneliness affects over a third of Americans, exacerbating heart issues through stress. Forgiveness, or its absence, chains us. Epictetus advised releasing reactions to events, liberating the soul. Purpose eludes when we live reactively, not actively, much like Zeno, Stoicism's founder, who, after losing his fortune in a shipwreck around 300 BCE, found meaning in philosophy under Athens' Stoic. Without addressing these, the heart numbs, blocking the vitality that fuels mind and body. These issues, mental clutter, bodily neglect, heart's isolation, don't exist in silos. They form a vicious cycle, as the Stoics observed. Aurelius battled all three amid empire's demands, using philosophy to align them. In my scholarly recounting, this interconnectedness is key. A foggy mind weakens bodily resolve. A frail body dulls emotional depth. A numb heart scatters thoughts. Illustrated by the tale of Diogenes the Cynic, a Stoic precursor, who lived in a barrel to defy comforts, showing how ignoring one realm ripples to others. Yet, this diagnosis isn't doom. It's the map to solutions. As we proceed, remember, acknowledging these issues is the first act of courage, echoing the Stoic call to live deliberately. Part 3. Solutions from Stoicism. Having laid bare the issues that dim our inner light, the cluttered mind, the neglected body, and the numb heart, it's time to turn toward the remedies offered by Stoic philosophy. As a scholar who has wandered the intellectual trails from the Appalachian libraries to the open prairies of the Great Plains, I've come to view Stoicism not as a dusty relic but as a living compass, forged in the fires of ancient adversity and still pointing true north today. These solutions aren't quick fixes or feel-good platitudes. They're forged from the Stoics' own trials, demanding courage and consistency. In this section, I'll recount them as interwoven threads in a grand tapestry, drawing on historical contexts like the Stoic where Zeno first taught, and blending in analytical insights with stories that breathe life into the principles. We'll explore how Stoicism addresses each realm, mind, body, heart, through virtue, reason, and harmony with nature, much like the balanced ecosystems of America's wild rivers and forests. Remember, the Stoics believed in eudaimonia, a flourishing life achieved not by avoiding hardship but by transforming it into strength. Let's delve in one layer at a time, with examples that illustrate the depth of these timeless solutions. Beginning with the mind, Stoicism offers a blueprint for reclaiming sovereignty amid the mental storms we diagnosed earlier. Central to this is Marcus Aurelius's assertion in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This isn't mere optimism. It's a philosophical argument rooted in the dichotomy of control, a core Stoic tenet dividing life into what we can influence, our judgments, actions, and what we can't, externals like weather or others' opinions. Historically, during the Antonine Plague of 165 to 180 CE, which ravaged up to a third of Rome's population, Aurelius applied this by focusing inward rather than railing against fate. He journaled to detox his thoughts, much as we might today by curating inputs. In my analysis, this solution counters mental clutter by advocating a detox through selective exposure, echoing Seneca's advice on the shortness of life to guard time like a precious resource. Consider the illustrated story of Cato the Younger, a Stoic statesman in the late Roman Republic, around 95 to 46 BCE. Amid civil war against Julius Caesar, Cato maintained mental clarity by reading philosophy nightly, even as Pompey's forces crumbled. When defeat loomed, he chose suicide not in despair but as a rational act of virtue, his mind unshaken. This exemplifies the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, premeditating evils to build resilience. In a modern lens, neutral psychological studies such as those on cognitive behavioral therapy, which draws from Stoicism, show that reframing thoughts reduces anxiety by 20 to 30% in controlled trials. My personal opinion? This isn't about ignoring reality but redirecting focus. Like a farmer tilling soil, weeding out negative beliefs to plant virtues. Epictetus deepens this with his concept of prohairesis, the faculty of choice, arguing in discourses that true freedom lies in aligning judgments with nature. For the invisible prisons of self-doubt, he prescribed questioning impressions. Is this fact or opinion? This philosophical rigor turns the mind from battlefield to sanctuary. Imagine a teacher in rural Kansas I once knew, overwhelmed by administrative noise. By adopting daily journaling of empowering thoughts, she shifted from victim to architect of her mindset, embodying the Stoic identity shift from I want to I am becoming. Transitioning to the body, Stoicism prescribes solutions that treat it as a disciplined ally, not a burdensome afterthought. The philosophy views the body as part of the rational cosmos, to be maintained through ascesis, training, or exercise, drawing from Heraclitus's pre-Stoic idea of logos, the universal reason governing all. Seneca, in his letters, advocated simple living to avoid bodily excess, practicing what he called voluntary poverty even in wealth. Exiled to Corsica's rugged terrain, he honed his physique through sparse meals and walks, arguing that nutrition is discipline. We should eat not to please the palate, but to satisfy hunger. This counters neglect by emphasizing awareness, each meal a choice aligning with virtue. Historically, during Nero's tyrannical rule, 54 to 68 CE, Seneca's bodily regimen helped him endure political intrigue, including a forced suicide where he faced death calmly, his vessel prepared. In analysis, this ties to Stoic physics, where the body is pneuma, vital breath, in motion, requiring movement to prevent stagnation. Epictetus, despite his lameness, taught daily physical acts as metaphors for moral progress, stating in Enchiridion, "No great thing is created suddenly." His solution for emotional release through movement, walk when anxious, lift when lost, prefigures modern exercise psychology, where studies show 20 minutes of activity boosts endorphins, reducing depression symptoms by up to 25%. Voluntary discomfort, a hallmark, builds resilience. Seneca slept on hard floors to remind himself of sufficiency, much like indigenous American practices of sweat lodges for purification. Picture the story of Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, banished by Nero in 65 CE to Gyros Island's barren rocks. There, he labored manually, turning hardship into strength, arguing that the body thrives on challenge, not comfort. From my scholarly perspective, this isn't masochism but preparation, like tempering steel in fire. Sleep, too, is reframed as self-respect. Seneca warned against wasting life in idleness, advocating 7 to 8 hours as restoration. In today's context, with sleep debt affecting 35% of Americans per health surveys, the Stoic ritual resets willpower, fostering harmony. Overall, these bodily solutions argue philosophically that discipline begets freedom, transforming weakness into a foundation for the soul. Finally, for the heart, Stoicism provides solutions that reopen it to connection and purpose, healing numbness through openness and service. At its core is apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from destructive passions, balanced with sympatheia, the sense of universal kinship. Marcus Aurelius embodied this in Meditations. Be like the promontory against which the waves continually break. It stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Ruling during border wars, he grieved personally but stayed open, forgiving enemies and aiding the empire's hive. This counters walls by encouraging introspection. Questions like, who am I truly? To rediscover the soul's whispers. Historically, after losing his wife Faustina and several children, Aurelius used philosophy to process grief, illustrating forgiveness as liberation. Epictetus, in Discourses, taught that pain arises from reactions, not events. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. His solution: daily forgiveness rituals. Frees the heart from past weights, much like releasing a caught fish back to the stream. In neutral analysis, this aligns with forgiveness research showing reduced stress hormones. Purpose emerges through action. Aurelius wrote of serving the common good, creating meaning amid chaos. Consider the story of Cleanthes, Zeno's successor, c. 330 to 230 BCE, a water carrier by night who studied philosophy by day, finding heart's direction in humble service. His life argues that purpose isn't discovered passively but built, expanding the heart through giving. In my view, this Stoic interconnectedness echoes natural world symbiosis, trees sharing nutrients via roots, reminding us isolation harms. Modern applications include volunteering, where studies link altruism to well-being boosts. By integrating mind, body, and heart solutions, Stoicism forms a holistic circle. A clear mind directs the body, a strong body supports the heart, an open heart inspires the mind. These solutions, drawn from Stoic arguments like the pursuit of virtue over pleasure, offer profound transformation. They're not dogmatic but adaptable, as seen in how Roman Stoics applied Greek origins during empire's peak. In recounting them, I see a path of empowerment, illustrated by lives like Aurelius's, who turned personal turmoil into enduring wisdom. As we move to practice, hold this. Stoicism solves by aligning us with nature's rational order, turning issues into opportunities for growth. Part 4: How to Practice. With the Stoic solutions now illuminated, like beacons on a foggy coastline, we arrive at the heart of transformation. Practice. As a scholar who's traced these philosophies from the marble halls of ancient Athens to the redwood groves of California, I've learned that Stoicism isn't a spectator sport. It's a daily discipline, much like the rhythmic cycles of nature that the indigenous peoples of this land have honored for millennia. The Stoics themselves, Zeno teaching under the painted colonnade of the Stoa Poikile around 300 BCE, or Aurelius scribbling by campfire light during frontier campaigns, didn't just ponder. They lived their principles through deliberate actions. In this section, I'll guide you through how to embody these ideas, recounting them as practical steps woven into stories and analyses. We'll break it down by mind, body, and heart, offering in-depth exercises grounded in historical precedents, with my own reflections on their efficacy. Think of this as forging a personal path, step by step, where each practice builds resilience like layers of sediment forming a canyon over time. The key Stoic argument here is ascesis, rigorous training that turns theory into habit, arguing philosophically that virtue is a skill honed through repetition, not innate talent. Let's roll up our sleeves and explore how to make these solutions your reality, illustrated with examples from history and everyday life. Starting with practicing for the mind, the cornerstone of Stoic rebirth, we focus on rituals that reclaim control and foster clarity. The foundational practice draws from Aurelius's journaling habit, detailed in Meditations, where he premeditated daily challenges to align thoughts with virtue. Begin with a morning detox. For 7 days, dedicate the first 30 minutes to absorbing wisdom. Read a passage from Epictetus's Enchiridion or Seneca's Letters, not scrolling news feeds. Historically, during the Roman Empire's golden age under the 5 good emperors, 96 to 180 CE, Aurelius used this to navigate court intrigues and military stresses, reminding himself, "Begin each day by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful." In my analysis, this counters mental clutter by rewiring neural pathways. Neutral cognitive science supports that consistent input shapes mindset, much like how repeated trails in a forest become paths. Illustrate this with the story of a modern librarian in the Pacific Northwest I advised. Overwhelmed by digital overload, she started this ritual, journaling 3 strengthening thoughts, e.g., I control my responses, and 3 weakening ones to replace, e.g., shifting, I'm overwhelmed, to, I prioritize wisely. Within weeks, her focus sharpened, echoing Epictetus's teaching on assent, withholding agreement from false impressions. Next, practice identity shifts. Daily, write, I am becoming, followed by a virtue-based declaration, like, I am becoming resilient in uncertainty. This stems from Stoic ethics, where character drives action. Seneca practiced this in exile, redefining himself not as a victim but as a student of life. Philosophically, it argues that habits follow identity, not vice versa, supported by behavioral studies showing self-perception influences outcomes. For breaking invisible prisons, engage in evening reviews. List limiting beliefs, then rewrite them as empowerments, asking, did my mind serve or sabotage today? This mirrors the Stoic examen, a nightly audit Aurelius performed amid plagues, fostering discipline over positivity. In a personal opinion grounded in observation, this isn't fluffy affirmation. It's warrior training, calming chaos as seen in veterans who've adopted it post-deployment. Extend to a weekly challenge. Abstain from one mental junk source, like social media, and replace with skill building, such as learning logic puzzles to enhance resilience. The interconnected argument. A practiced mind directs the whole self, as Epictetus noted. Educate your opinions, and the rest will follow. Moving to body practices, Stoicism emphasizes treating the physical form as a trusted steed, trained through intentional habits that build endurance and vitality. Rooted in the philosophy's materialist view, body as animated matter in the cosmic logos, these start with nutritional awareness. Before each meal, pause and ask, does this fuel my purpose? Opt for whole foods over processed, drawing from Seneca's austere diet even in wealth. In On Providence, he argued simple eating prevents dependency. Historically, during his Corsican exile, 41 to 49 CE, this practice sustained him through scarcity, proving the body adapts to mindful choices. In practice, track meals for a week, noting energy impacts. Neutral health data shows balanced nutrition stabilizes mood via gut-brain links. Illustrate with the tale of a farmer in the Midwest heartland. Battling fatigue from irregular eating, he adopted this, incorporating vegetables and proteins intentionally, transforming sabotage into strength. Sleep rituals follow. Commit to 7 to 8 hours nightly, winding down without screens, as Seneca warned in on the shortness of life about squandered nights. Philosophically, rest is self-respect, resetting willpower. Studies confirm it enhances cognitive function. Practice by setting a bedtime routine, perhaps reading philosophy softly lit, mirroring Aurelius's dawn reminders to rise purposefully. For movement, integrate daily motion. 20 minutes of walking, running, or lifting using emotion as cue, walk off anxiety, as Epictetus advised despite his disability. In Discourses, he argued gradual building creates greatness. No gear needed, just commitment. My reflection. This sends a message of command, like indigenous endurance runs honoring the land. Voluntary discomfort amplifies this. Weekly, choose hardship, cold showers, fasting a meal, or floor sleeping, as Seneca did to defy luxury. During Nero's era, this built his Stoic resolve for trials. Start small. One cold shower daily, noting inner growth. The story of a teacher in the Southwest. Incorporating hikes in desert heat, she forged bodily trust, reducing emotional stagnation. Philosophically, these practices argue the body as foundation, strong vessel enabling mind and heart harmony, with historical proof in Stoics enduring wars and exiles. For the heart, practices center on reopening to connection, purpose, and forgiveness, drawing from Stoic sympathia, universal kinship. Begin with daily stillness. 10 minutes silent, asking soul-probing questions like, what do I truly care about? This echoes Aurelius's introspective pauses amid Germanic wars, 170 to 180 CE, where he wrote of standing firm yet open. In Meditations, he urged self-examination to rediscover vitality. Practice by journaling answers, feeling the tremble as aliveness. Neutral mindfulness research shows this reduces numbness. Illustrate with a community organizer in New England. Numb from relational walls. This ritual unveiled buried passions, reigniting joy. Forgiveness exercises next. Nightly, write one release, forgive a grudge or self-fault. As Epictetus taught in Enchiridion. Pain from reactions, not events. Philosophically, this liberates, not weakens. During his enslavement, c. 55 to 135 CE, it freed him from bitterness. Commit for 30 days, feeling weightlessness grow. My analysis. Like shedding autumn leaves, it clears space for growth. Purpose building follows. Identify alive moments, helping, creating, then act small, like one kindness daily. Aurelius created purpose through service, noting in Meditations that harming the hive harms the bee. Historically, post-plague, he aided communities, expanding his heart. Practice by volunteering or sharing skills. Studies link altruism to fulfillment. The story of a retiree in the Rockies. Directionless, he started mentoring youth, his heart overflowing. Integrate all, weekly reviews aligning mind-body-heart practices, forming the Stoic circle. Philosophically, this harmony makes one unstoppable, as seen in Epictetus's peaceful teachings despite hardships. In recounting these practices, I emphasize they're adaptable, not rigid. Start small, build relentlessly. Historical contexts show Stoics like Zeno, post-shipwreck, practiced amid poverty, proving accessibility. My opinion? Consistency trumps intensity. Like rivers carving valleys, daily acts reshape life. These in-depth steps, with stories and arguments, equip you to live Stoicism, turning solutions into second nature. Part 5. Conclusion. As we draw this journey to a close, like the sun dipping below the horizon on a vast American plain, casting long shadows that invite quiet reflection, let's gather the threads we've woven together. From the initial mystery of inner emptiness, that stranger in the mirror whispering of lost vitality, we've traversed the Stoic landscape, diagnosing the ailments of mind, body, and heart, unveiling solutions forged in ancient wisdom, and mapping practical paths to embody them. As a scholar who's pondered these truths under starry skies reminiscent of Aurelius's campaign tents, I see this not as an end but as a threshold to your own awakening. The Stoics, those enduring guides from Zeno's Athens to Epictetus's humble school in Nicopolis, taught that life isn't about flawless execution but relentless alignment with virtue. Marcus Aurelius, amid the empire's twilight in the 2nd century CE, reminded us in his Meditations that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This encapsulates our exploration. The issues we face, cluttered thoughts, weakened forms, numb spirits, are not barriers but invitations to growth. Summarizing the lessons, recall how the mind's chaos yields to disciplined sovereignty through detox and reframing, echoing Seneca's calls for mental austerity. The body's neglect transforms via intentional nutrition, rest, and movement, building resilience as Epictetus did despite chains. The heart's walls crumble under introspection, forgiveness, and purposeful service, fostering the sympathia that connects us all. These aren't isolated fixes. They form a harmonious circle, where a clear mind steers the body, a vital body sustains the heart, and an open heart inspires the mind anew. Historically, this triad powered Stoics through plagues, wars, and exiles, proving that inner rebirth outlasts external turmoil. In my neutral analysis, blended with reflections from counseling sessions in quiet university towns, this philosophy offers a balanced antidote to modern disconnection. Not through extremes, but steady, nature-aligned steps. It's like tending a garden. Issues are weeds, solutions the seeds, practices the cultivation, yielding a flourishing life. For your reflection, consider this gentle message. You are not defined by yesterday's hollow echoes, but by today's choices. Imagine standing on a mountain trail at dawn, the world awakening below. That's the potential within you, raw and unbreakable. Stoicism whispers that true strength lies in embracing what is, transforming it into what can be. Don't seek perfection. Embrace progress. As Aurelius noted, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Let this be your quiet fire, igniting a path where mind, body, and heart move as one. The world awaits the awakened you, not a copy, but the authentic soul ready to contribute. Rise, then, with intention. Your transformation begins now, in this breath, this moment. Thank you for joining this scholarly recounting. May it serve as a compass on your journey.